I'm going to ask you a question. Please put the answer in the chat. What opportunity has created more millionaires than any other system in the history of mankind? Spending less than what you earn. You have the ability to build wealth with what you have around you. You today, right now, already have everything that is required to build wealth. The fact that you have a brain, the fact that you have skills, the fact that you can produce things, you can speak. Everything you need to become wealthy, you already have. You just need to build onto it. The one thing that's gonna put you in the top 1% of anything is focus. If you always looking for the next big thing, you will be chasing. All you need to do is decide what is the one thing I'm gonna be fantastic in, focus on that thing and build it up. And your biggest asset is that thing between our ears. It's our brain. Our brain is our biggest asset because our skills, our knowledge sits there. Next thing we need to look at is our habits define who we are as people. Money you have is based on your spending habits. How much knowledge you have is based on your reading habits. You are defined by your habits. Your habits eventually determine your outcome. So wherever you are right now is entirely because of the ship that you have been driving. What does this have to do with building wealth? If you understand that a journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step, all you need to do is set yourself a goal, and every single day you must be making progress towards that goal. As long as every single day you're making small progress, you can build wealth just from making small changes. Instead of buying the coffee for 30 Rand at the garage every day, which costs you 1,000 Rand almost a month, to make your own coffee. Small little changes in your habits are what will make the difference between whether you are wealthy and money works for you or you work for money for the rest of your life. Let's put this thing in practicality. Every single person on this call has the ability to become financially free in the next 5 years. 5 to 7 years is all it takes to become financially free and never have to be a slave of money and make money your slave. You will have the ability to take your money and put it to work, and that money will sustain your livelihood. 5 to 7 years, that is all it takes. And every single person with an income has the ability to do that. First thing you need to do, you need to calculate your magic number. South Africa living standards. What's a middle class type of living? 40,000 Rand a month, household income. Take 40,000 Rand, multiply it by 200, 8 million. That's your magic number. If your monthly expenses are 40,000 Rand a month, once you have 8 million Rand, you never have to work for the rest of your life, ever. That 8 million will give you 40,000 Rand a month for life. Even your children and your children's children will get that 40,000 Rand. It will grow with inflation. That money will never finish, because there's a rule we call the 5% rule. In America, they call it the 4% rule because their interest rates are lower. In South Africa, we can work on a 5% rule. What that rule is, if you withdraw 5% of your money annually, that money won't run out. As long as you've got it invested correctly, that money will never run out. Because what does it mean? It means you're only eating the fruit. You're not eating the tree. So your tree is your capital and you live off the fruit. That's wealth. Wealth is being in a position that your capital is generating enough income to cover your living expenses. That is the formula to your magic number. There's two things you need to do. The higher your expenses, the higher your magical number. As soon as you cut down your expenses, your magical number drops. The easiest way to build wealth is to cut your expenses. It's not the nice thing to tell anyone, but it's the money you already have that's going to make you wealthy. You don't need to earn more. Earning more money is cream. The money you're already earning is enough to make you wealthy. All you need to do is cut your expenses and you'll become wealthy. One expense at a time. I'll give you a simple example of what I did. My electricity bill was around 4,000. I've taken it down to 2,000. What did that do? It lowered my magic number and it's giving me 2,000 every month to invest. What did I do? I timed our shower. We were showering on average 10 minutes. A shower uses 9 liters of water per minute. You cut that in half. you've already put money. So what I did, I put a 5-minute timer in my shower for the whole family. Simple things like that. Simple things you can do to your day-to-day life that will give you money back. And you take that money, you don't spend it, you put it to work. You just make minor changes. I said there's power in small numbers. Whether it's 100 Rand, whether it's 50 Rand, whatever it is, you take that money and you invest it. If you can get to a point where you've cut your monthly expenses into half, it's not easy. If you can cut your monthly expenses by 50%, it means you are living off half. What that means is that in 5 to 7 years, that other half that's been working for you will provide for the other half that you are using to live. If you can live off 50% of your income for 5 years, you never have to work for the rest of your life. This has nothing to do with how much you're earning. You can be earning 100,000, you can be earning 200,000, you can be earning 10,000, you can be earning 2,000. It all depends on your living expenses. If you earn 10, you live off 5. After 5 years, your money will give you back 5 for life. And then your living expenses are covered. Work should build wealth. When we work, we shouldn't work to pay for expenses, living expenses. When you go out and work, you're building wealth. You don't work to buy food. You don't work to pay for petrol. Those expenses are supposed to be covered by your capital. Your capital must cover those costs. And your work, when you go and put your services out there, your labor should build wealth. So the problem we have as people, why we do not become wealthy, is because we're living off our labor. When you are living like that, you will always be working. There won't be a point where you are financially free. And being financially free doesn't mean that you are a gazillionaire, you're driving Porsches. No, I'd rather drive a decent car, have a paid up house, and live worry-free than drive fancy cars, but I know I'm one pay slip away from bankruptcy. There's a lot of people that own a lot of shiny things. If they lose their jobs, it's all gone. Wealth is knowing that you can sustain your lifestyle no matter what. That is what you must do first. Once you've covered that, the shiny things can come. The problem is we want the shiny things now because they help our ego. They give us the status that we believe we do not have. It's gonna take sacrifice. It's gonna be unpopular. Small little changes. It's all in your control because it's money that you have already. Work with what you have. A lot of people work with financial advisors. I have nothing against financial advisors, and I hope there's no financial advisors on this call. But financial advisors are not trained to make you wealthy. They are trained to sell you life cover, dread disease cover, disability cover, and pension cover. You become rich when you are old and not fit enough to even enjoy that money. Because insurance companies operate like that. They need to keep your money. You shouldn't have access to your money. The last thing they will sell you is this investment thing. That is the last priority. But I'm saying that should be your first priority. It should be your first priority. Because if you are financially free, you don't need life cover. Why do you need life cover? If you die, you're leaving this money. You already have money. You don't need dread disease because you already have an income. What income are you protecting when you already have made provision for yourself? What the insurance companies, they want to make provision for you. What I'm saying is don't let insurance companies make provision for you. Make provision for yourself. Why do you need them to look after you when you are sick and ill? When you are old, when you pass away, they must look after your family. No, you must take ownership of those things. So all you need to do is get your surplus and then invest it. Every 100 Rand you save, you must put it back to work. So cut expense, put the money to work. Cut expense, put the money to work. Cut expense, put the money to work. How do you put the money to work? 2 ways. There's debt and there's ownership. 2 different ways to build wealth. If you want to build wealth using debt, it's the slower process, but it's more guaranteed. That's when you invest in bonds and you invest in money market. You are a lender. Instead of being a borrower, you become a lender. You lend money to the bank. You lend money to the government. It's a slower process. It won't take you 5 years if you use that process. It will take you a bit longer, but it will be a more steady rise, and it's virtually risk-free. Ownership is when you become an owner of companies. You buy shares. You become a part owner of companies. So you share in the profits of those companies. So this one has the ability to grow very quickly, but it also has the ability, it's a little bit more risky. There's nothing that stops you from doing a blend of both. That's what anyone will recommend. You have a blend of debt and ownership so that if the one doesn't work, the other one compensates the other. You can invest for growth or you can invest for income. When you invest for income is when you invest in companies that always pay a dividend. Those are the tried and tested companies. Or you can just buy an exchange traded fund that's a dividend yield fund. All it is you buy one share which only invests in companies that pay a dividend. Growth is investing in companies that are in an upward trajectory, your Apples, your Amazons, your Teslas. So you're not going to get an income. They don't pay out dividends, but the value of that company is just growing exponentially. Again, nothing stops you from doing a bit of both. You can blend it, have a growth portfolio and an income portfolio. Local versus offshore, South African stock market, you can invest in the top 40. It's a good way to start. So as a beginner, go through, do your top 40 index, but there are massive opportunities outside of South Africa. S&P 500, FTSE 100, Euro stocks, MSC China. So don't only look at local. As well, you need to protect your wealth. Don't only hold your wealth in one currency. Make sure your wealth is spread across different currencies and across different countries. When anything happens to one country, the other one. So we are taught to just invest in the South African market on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. It's a nice place to start, but broaden your horizon. Which investment platform you can use as a beginner? I recommend Easy Equities.